we have a bunch of Nintendo news to bring you today. Some of it pertaining to Switch 2, some pertaining to Switch, but overall, some of the stuff that's in here is so exciting that if you are not like smiling during some of the news today, then you know what? What's wrong with you? I'm not even going to hit my Reggie button. I'll just say it myself. Literally, what's wrong with you? That being said, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. In fact, 2 of them, the Mario Kart bundle versions. You can go ahead and enter in the pinned comment or the link down in the description. I wish everybody luck. And you know what? I don't want to waste any more of that time. Let's go ahead and dive in because holy crap, guys. One of the greatest games, in my estimation, in my opinion, ever made is apparently getting a remake, remaster. This is kind of crazy how this happened because Yuji Horii leaked it himself almost accidentally at a Italian Comic-Con. So apparently Yuji Horii confirmed that Chrono Trigger Remake during an interview at Comic-Con Naples. He then said through a translator, "You have heard nothing," after apparently realizing what just happened. It was a very, very, very big whoopsie. And look, there's actually a clip of this out there. I'm not going to be able to show you that clip. I don't want them to get mad at me about it, but I will link to where that clip is. It's also in 2 different languages that I don't understand. But as we go down here, we see the Chrono Trigger. Reddit has the father of Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger let this information slip during an interview. The host whispered something in his ear and covered his mouth. The audience went crazy, which of course the audience went crazy because this is one of the things we've been wanting for a long time, like a full-on remake. And we have some additional details here. According to people who are there and translating this and talking about it, Lawfulness Shirt 125 over here on the Dragon Quest Reddit said someone on another forum claimed that he accidentally mentioned a Chrono Trigger remake. Someone whispered in his ear, presumably to remind him that this is a secret. He covered his mouth as if he just said something he shouldn't have, and the audience cheered. "Since you were there, can you confirm this happened?" And the fishy one says, "I can confirm I was among those who cheered." He said something along the lines of what you said, and the interviewer said, "Wait, if that's true, this is big." The translator asked for a confirmation to Horii, who presumably understood that he shouldn't have said that, and the translator commented, "You have heard nothing." Oh, baby, baby, baby. Chrono Trigger? Chrono Trigger finally coming back? Oh, man, the only thing that would get me more excited would be like a remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day, just because I'm such a big fanboy of that game. But, man, oh, man, some of this really makes me smile and happy. You know what also makes me smile? When I hear that one of Nintendo's best development studios is expanding their team, and that studio is Monolith Soft. Oh boy, they got over 20 things that they are hiring here at Monolith Soft. Again, project managers, planners, programmers, designers, in-game animator, cinematic artist, technical artist, effects designer, all this stuff, 2D designer. They have this 4-step process how to apply. If you're in Japan or whatever and you want to happen to apply for any of these jobs, we'll put a link down in the description. But I'm always interested in whatever the hell Monolith Soft has cooking. So, just drawing attention to them hiring 20 new people, to me, is a pretty big deal. You know what's also a really big deal, at least for Nintendo? How about the fact that their market share in terms of their stock price has now hit an all-time record high? That's right, Nintendo stock bubbled up to an all-time high of 12,145 yen today in Japan, where it is Thursday afternoon. So this is obviously from yesterday. And look, guys, this is pretty crazy. All of this because of some news we're going to get into later, but watching Nintendo kind of soar in value. Look, I'm not an investor, so the overall value of the company doesn't matter that much to me, but we do have a story later that's going to clearly explain why it is soaring. And yes, folks, it has to do with Switch 2 because Switch 2 is doing incredible. But you know what? You know what's also weird about Switch 2? They introduced those game key cards, right? None of us, well, I shouldn't say none of us, but a lot of us really don't like them, including myself. But whatever, we know an all-digital future is coming, but we thought it would at least eliminate codes in a box, and it didn't because Split Fiction is releasing a physical copy that is just a code in a box. I would much rather be a game key card. If I just want a code in the box, I would just buy it off the eShop or buy like a little digital card at a store or something. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. I don't like it. But GameFly apparently didn't get the memo because they're apparently renting Split Fiction. So we're over here on the GameFly website, and you can start your free trial. I'm not signed up right now, but you can see coming on 6/5/25, you could actually rent Split Fiction. The problem is it's a code in a box. So people are joking around like, hey, I should go ahead and rent Split Fiction and get it on over because I'll be the first person to activate the code, and then I'll return the damn thing and I get to keep the game because you can't rent a code in a box. So the code ties to an account. This led to some speculation that maybe they have exclusive access to game key cards for this game, or maybe they have physical versions. But chances are that somebody at the website didn't get the memo that just because there's physical versions of this on things like the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, that this version on Switch 2 is not a physical copy. But what are you going to do? This is just something that happened. You know what else happened? Some weirdness. So we had that 20.0.0 update. For the most part, it went smooth for everyone. I know we talked about features being missed, but actually, Nintendo of Japan commented on something because it turned out that several people, I don't know the exact number, were complaining about their system being bricked after doing the update and being able to restart your system. Now, Nintendo talks about this, and they have released a patch, and they do explain how to deal with that patch if your system appears to be bricked. But let me go over here, and we see Nintendo's official statement here. It says, we are currently receiving inquiries from some customers about the occurrence of error code 2206-1015 after updating to Nintendo Switch system version 20.0.0. We are currently investigating how to deal with this issue. We apologize for the inconvenience, and we ask that you wait for further information. Then they went ahead and updated this today, 15 hours ago, as you're seeing here. I will go ahead and load this up. And it says, distribution of Nintendo Switch system version 20.0.1 has begun. If you receive the error code of 2206-1015 after updating the system version 20.0.1, please check the Q&A and update the device to 20.0.1. We apologize for any inconvenience. And what they actually want you to do is reboot your system holding the power button and the two volume buttons at the same time. Just hold them down for an extended period of time, and it'll eventually reboot into what they're calling maintenance mode. And from there, you can force the update to go through. That is exactly what their guide says. I went through it on their website. Pretty simple. I've known about this maintenance mode for a while. I've never had to use it myself, but I have seen other people use it. Now, we're going to take a brief step here away from Nintendo Switch news and talk about some industry news. And no, not about the GTA 6 delay, nothing like that. That is a thing that happened for those interested. It's coming out, I think, May 26th next year or something like that. That's not the news we're focusing on, actually. How about the fact that two major publications have seen mass layoffs and could actually be closed fairly soon? And it kind of just gets into the state of the video game media industry that I'm actually part of. I know that I'm not like a traditional journalist. I'm a YouTuber. I give a lot of opinions, but look, we all exist in the same space in that we're delivering information to gamers. And Nintendo Life has an article over here, and I don't know that I agree with the premises because I do think people are supporting the people they love. They are supporting the outlets they want to be at. It's just not the same outlets anymore. But if we go down here, I wanted to do this article because it contains the information. So from Wario64, it says, Giant Bomb content is currently on hold while fandom engages in a strategic reset and realignment of our media brands. Diane Reichert and Jeff Grubb have departed. Mike Minotti will no longer contribute to Giant Bomb. So they just let go of a bunch of people, Jeff Grubb and Dan Reichert being two really big names at Giant Bomb. And then as we go down here, Polygon. So their press release probably calls Polygon a premium gaming publication, but Valnet literally refused to meet with me or answer a single question of mine through this process. They were widely incurious about how a gaming publication even becomes premium. And for those that don't know, Chris Grant is the founder of Polygon. And yeah, he was just ceremoniously let go without any real conversation. So look, here's the thing about the state of the video game industry, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do think that there's a few fundamental things that are happening with some of these outlets like Giant Bomb, some of these outlets like Polygon, and other more traditional outlets, and it's that fans are kind of navigating away from them for a few reasons. The number one reason is probably that they don't feel like these publications are respecting them. In fact, sometimes they're so focused on making like political statements one way or another. I don't care which direction it is, but they're so focused on making political statements or personal statements that have nothing to do with the actual video games that it ends up driving the audience away. So there's that. And then on top of that, I don't think that they pivot fast enough. So I use this example over on Twitter. I'll just tell you guys. We used to have a separate podcast called the Nintendo Prime Podcast. I've been running it since 2015, and I really loved it. This was back when I was just doing content creation for fun. It was a hobby. I did it on the side. But as this channel started to grow for other reasons, news coverage, and we started to get more popular, it became obvious that the podcast really wasn't working. I started doing this as a job in 2023. And well, we kept the podcast going most of that year. Bottom line is there was barely any viewership on it compared to normal videos. Our very last episode topped out at 3,800 views. That was the final episode ever of the Nintendo Prime podcast. But it didn't mean that we wanted to be done with podcasts. What it meant is we needed to rethink and reboot it, rebrand it, and try something different. And we could only do that because I didn't have to go through red tape. I didn't have to ask anyone above me if this is okay or if we have the budget to pull this off. I did it because it's what I wanted to do. And the reason I bring this up is that podcast, the Nintendo Byte podcast, not only did it debut with 12,000 views, which is more than any Nintendo Prime podcast episode I'd had in almost a year, even now, after it settled in after that initial hype and, we get 6,000 views and 7,000 views, now we're regularly above 10,000 views and we continue to grow. My thing is, the reason that this works is when you are a content creator, and these journalists need to start viewing themselves as content creator like, you don't just deliver the news. You don't just deliver a podcast or a discussion. You have to take the passion you have for what you're doing and align it with the audience. You have to find a way to connect with the audience and not just do what you want to do, but do it in a way that an audience really wants to watch and enjoy it. And that's what we were missing with the Nintendo Prime podcast. It was basically just what I wanted to do. Damn everyone else. That's not the case. Now this new podcast is a full collaborative effort, and we're really focused on trying to bring conversations and viewpoints that we think the viewers are going to care. It's structured differently. It's managed differently. And look, it's gaining success and growing because of it. This is just a prime example of what I think traditional media gets wrong. And unfortunately for Polygon and Giant Bomb, that's just what they have to deal with. This is one of the reasons that I think traditional media is going away, but it's not the only reason. I think one of the main reasons it's going away is because they lost touch with the audience. And again, this all kind of goes hand in hand. You can do all the new things you want, but if you're not paying attention to what the audience is saying and the feedback they're giving, then you're really, really super disconnected. And that's a great way to kill off your careers. Now, we got to go back into some Nintendo stuff now because, hey, how about some new looks at new eShop cards? This is kind of weird. These are from Brazil. I want to be very clear. So the prices, they're not USD, but as we look here, we have some brand new eShop cards. These designs might end up coming over here to the US during the Switch 2 era. It's all kind of cool. The biggest, what I like is the Donkey Kong one there. The Donkey Kong face, it just looks like someone who I want to have some fun with, man. I don't know. Look, these all look pretty cool. I like refresh designs on eShop cards. It's kind of a smaller, fun story. Who knows if these redesigns ever get outside of Brazil, but it's there. Now we get to why the stock is so damn high for Nintendo from our prior story, and that is because of what the hell is going on in Japan. Go over to Video Gamer here, and it says Nintendo Switch 2 demand is so high in Japan that retailers are only selling consoles to their quote-unquote best customers. So, Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan is a bloodbath. As reported by IGN, Japanese retailers are putting strict restrictions on who can apply to purchase a Nintendo Switch 2 as a result of limited units and extremely high demand. Additionally, stores are attempting to stop scalping and make sure that consoles go only to gamers who actually want the console. Nothing wrong with that. According to the outlet, almost all Japanese retailers are now requiring would-be customers to sign up for a chance to buy the system. Okay, that's the lottery system. Potential customers are required to not only be an active member of a retailer, but also need to have spent a specific amount of money at the store over the last 2 years. So not only do you have to join their membership program, you actually have had to been an active customer over the last 2 years. Bic Camera, a popular Japanese electronic trade, only allows players to enter their Nintendo Switch 2 lottery if they have an active camera credit card and have spent 30,000 yen, 207 USD, between April 2023 and March of 2025. The store also has a separate online lottery for higher tier customers who have spent 50,000 yen, so $345, in that same period. More egregiously, Joshin, another electronic chain, requires Switch 2 lottery entries to either be a Platinum or VIP member of their in-store point programs, and Platinum members of the store need to have spent 150,000 yen within the last year, or over $1,000 US. So this is crazy, but also, I will say, it's also kind of brilliant. The demand in Japan outstrips supply so bad that you can't blame retailers for wanting to make sure not only are the consoles getting into actual customers' hands, they're getting into the customers' hands that are going to continue to buy products at their given outlet, making that outlet more money. So it kind of makes sense, but none of it's really going to be solved until there's just a lot more supply. But we do have some updates as well on this sales data as well for here in the United States. We don't have exact numbers, but we have some interesting trends going on. Breaking down at Go Nintendo, Switch 2 sales breakdown, pre-order patterns, and consumer trends. This comes from The Shortcut, who compiled a bunch of interesting data. And it starts with the Mario Kart World Bundle outselling standalone Switch 2 consoles 7-1 in the United States. This is according to pre-order data from The Shortcut. The $499 Nintendo Switch 2 bundle with Mario Kart World has outsold the $449 standalone console by a factor of 7 in the United States. Despite the higher price, fans saw it as a better value because Mario Kart World costs $80 on its own. But the Switch 2 bundle prevalence is also kind of tied to the inventory. So The Shortcut reports that U.S. retailers like Walmart, Target, and Best Buy receive significantly more Switch 2 plus Mario Kart World bundles than the standalone version, which probably influenced that 7-1 ratio as well. Also, Mario Kart World is selling on its own extremely well, despite the bundle and the $80. So the standalone $80 version of Mario Kart World still made it into the Shortcut's top 10 most pre-ordered Switch 2 products, showing strong demand even among buyers who couldn't secure a bundle and chose to buy separately. But also, another game made it into the bestseller list. So Switch 2 accessories and games and top sellers revealed. Beyond the console, popular pre-orders include the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, no surprise, the Samsung Micro SD Express card, no surprise, and Donkey Kong Bonanza. Again, no surprise there. But there was a third-party game. The only top third-party game was Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition game key cards. You could go ahead and get proof. I love it. I love what's happening right here. The only third-party game to make it into the top 10 sellers in the US was Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, which happens to be like the only third-party game at launch, at least major one, that's actually on a physical cartridge and not a game key card. Are you kidding me, guys? This is what I wanted to happen, and we're seeing the proof is in the pudding. People don't want physical to go away. They're rewarding Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition for being a fully physical game, even at $70 when it is cheaper on other platforms right now. So, oh man. Oh, this makes me happy. That doesn't mean that game key cards aren't selling. They're just not selling nearly as well as a full physical third-party game. So, whew, that might be the most exciting news of the day. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Rovajans from Nintendo Prime, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.